Hello everybody, I'm Steven.
Hello everybody, I'm Rizwan.
And we're Cardboard Coalition. Today, we figured we'd bring you a playthrough for Fallout games. I think I call it Flatout before, but it's Fallout games Cascadia. So, we've already set it up for a two-player game, and we'll do a quick run through on how to set it up. Let's see, maybe we can put this still in picture. Nah, that's too bulky. All right, we're just gonna go like this. So it's set up for a two-player game. So what you do at first is you put your tokens in your bag. So you have a bag full of tokens. You get that set up, you throw it down, you have your bag of tokens ready. Next, you get your tiles. These are your habitat tiles. These are, actually, I should tell you, your wildlife tokens in the bag. You put out your habitat tiles. Now, you put out a certain amount of habitat tiles based on how many players. So we have a two-player game, so we're doing 43 habitat tiles. It's always 20 habitat tiles per player plus an extra 3 habitat tiles. And in the rule book, I can grab it right here and show you, it gives you a quick breakdown, tells you how many you can remove, right? So the game is set up to be a 2 to 4 player. So you can put out as many as you need. But for us, we put out 43 habitat tiles. Then next, what you want to do is you want to put down your scorecards. And you put one down for each animal. So there's 5 scorecards. Now there's a whole bunch of different scorecards. So they all come with 4 in the base box, right? So each one has 3 more that we didn't put out. Then there's the family variant card, and then we won't show you that because that's the Kickstarter. There's a Kickstarter exclusive setup, right, with an extra card for each animal. So you pick one of the cards for each animal, you set it down. Then you want to give each player their starting habitat tile, their starting habitat tile, which has 3 habitats already put together. And we have this one, so there's 3 habitats already put together. So each player has that. Then you want to go ahead, you want to take a habitat tile off the top and put them down. It doesn't matter how you set these stacks up. This is just how I do it. I do 4 stacks. You put 1 habitat tile down, then you reach in this bag, and one at a time, you put a wildlife token down underneath each habitat. And they're set up as pairs. And that'll come in handy understanding the game a little bit later. So you go ahead and set them all down. All right. Once you have that done, then you go ahead and make sure you have the nature tokens out. And you're ready to play the game. Now for the habitat starter tiles, I just wanted to show you guys really quick because I glanced over at them. The game comes with 5. So there's enough for a 4-player plus 1. If you're playing 2 or 3 players, you get some more variety in that. And then what you also see right here is this is just the scoring pad. And what I do, and this is, I guess, just a tip for people, you can go to any store, big box store, basically probably just about any store, and you just get some self-laminate, right? And you take one of those and you go ahead and self-laminate it. You put the self-laminate on it. Then what you can do at the end of the game, this is the scorecard, is you can write on it, right, with a dry eraser. And then I usually get a piece of toilet paper or paper towel. But see, it erases right away. You just kind of erase it out. So that's what we end up doing, because though I don't think we would go through this whole pad, and you see they're double-sided, this whole pad of scoring ones, now we don't have to worry about it. We use one. But all right, so we got the score pad out. You don't really need that until later, and this is kind of modified to make it easier. So now we're set up and we're ready to play. Now how you pick the first player is you ask who, me and Rizwan, we just decide who's the first player, but you figure out who was the last to see any of these wildlife animals. So you have the grizzly bear, the Roosevelt elk, the Chinook salmon, the red-tailed hawk, or the red fox. And you ask and see who's seen one of those. Obviously in person, you've all just seen them on the table last. I guess you can go with nature shows too. Then that person is the first player. Now, the end game, how you get to the end game is you run out of tiles. So you have no more tiles. So let's say these are missing. You have no tile to put down there, and that's the end game mechanic, or it starts the end game mechanic. Then you just do scoring. Sorry, not the end game mechanic. The game stops, and then you start scoring. End game mechanic means there's some more things that happen after that. This one, once there's no more, you can't replace one of the 4 sets of tiles, that's the end of the game, then you score. So that's how you get to the end game. And how you make points to score is, one, by following the cards. And like I said, there's different ways to do it. And you have options. This is 3 bears with no other bear around it. This one has different grouping of elk. This has a run of salmon. This one has pairs of hawks that are within line of sight, which means you don't want them next to each other. And then this one shows you a fox with pairs of animals around it. And there's variations. We've played through a couple times now. We've played a couple variations, right? So there's variations. So you try to set up tiles, habitat tiles, and animal tokens so you can make these patterns. Now, how you do that is you draft. So you pick a token and a tile. Well, this is the tile, this is the token. So you pick them, and then you add them to your habitat. We'll move this one up a little bit so I can show how it matches up. So you add it to your habitat, and then you put that token down. You can only put the animal token, on a spot that shows that animal token. So let's go ahead and bring this a little bit closer. So with this one, with the starter one, you have the hawk. This one you can put a hawk, a salmon, or an elk. This one you can put a bear or a fox, right? And so what you do is you just decide, you pick your pair, you set it down, and then you decide where you want to put your bear. I'm just going to go ahead and put my bear on that one I just picked, and then it's the next player's turn, right? Well, sorry, you fill the habitat tile and an animal token randomly from the bag, right? Like that. So then you have a new token out, then it's the next player's turn. Then they get a pick, right? And you keep going through that back and forth until you run out of tiles to place down. Once you can't place a tile, a habitat tile, then the game's over and you count score. Now, there's a couple other things to know. If you don't like the animals that are down here, right, you can pay a nature token, right? You pay that nature token and you can get rid of the animals and you set them aside. You don't actually put them back in the bag. You set them aside and you grab 4 new animals and you put them out, right? Or any combination. You could decide to get rid of 2 of them, 3 of them, 1 of them, but as many as you take away, you put new, one at a time, you put new animal tokens out. So now you have your animal tokens out. The other thing that you can do, if you don't like the combinations you have there, you can spend a nature token and you can choose any habitat that's showing in any animal combination. So for instance, you can decide that you want the hawk, well, this is a wetland, sorry. The wetlands habitat tile with the hawk token on it means you can place a hawk there, and the hawk right here, the hawk actual token, and you can take those. And what you end up doing is you place it like normal, and then you put the hawk down on there, right? And now it's placed. So one thing I do want to show you guys is these are Keystone habitat tiles. And it shows you the little pine cone and it has that little arrow. What that means is if you put the animal token down on there, you will get another nature token. And so you would get another nature token. All right. So at the end of the game, nature tokens are worth 1 point each, but you can also use them to change kind of the selections that you have here. So once you do this and you put everything, you've used your nature token, right? You're like, I want to use this nature token. You picked this habitat tile and this animal token. You go ahead and fill it back in. So you put one there and you get a whole new token and you set it down there. And that is basically how turn order goes. And you just go back and forth. You choose a combination of, you choose one of the couplings of habitat tile and nature token, or you use, animal token, or you use a nature token to choose a combination or to wipe the slate and put new animal tokens down, right? Once you get down to 0, or these are gone and you can't put one down, then it does end game scoring. At end game scoring, like I had said previously, you use the cards to score animals. And this sheet actually helps you out a lot. So you use the animal cards, you do scoring. You put how many ever people are on here, see up to 4, and you just put their numbers there. This is the total down here, so total for each column. The other way that you can score, and that's what this is right here, is you can put habitats next to each other. As you see, there's 2 mountains there. We have 2 wetlands there. At the end of the game, you look down and you see what your biggest connecting habitat of mountains are. So let's say you had a mountain over here too. So you have 1 mountain region here and a 2 tile mountain region there. So you have 2. This player has a 1 mountain region. If we had ended here, obviously your maps and habitats are going to spread out. So what you do here is player 1 has 2, so they would get a 2 there. Player 2 has 1, so they get a 1 there. In a 2-player game, the person with the largest habitat, the largest number right here, gets an extra 2 points. The other player gets no points. 3 and 4 player, I think it divides. You divide it. So if you're playing a 3 to 4 player, the person with the biggest habitat gets 2 points. The person with the second largest habitat gets 1 point. So then you just go through and you look at mountain region, you look at the forest, you look at the prairies, you look at the wetlands, and you look at the rivers. And you can see on here, this has prairie and wetlands. This one's all wetlands. This one's all forest. This one is mountain and river. And you go down through there. You put everybody's number down, and then you can look who has the largest, who has the second largest if you have 3 to 4 player, or who has the largest in a 2 player, and then they get that extra point. Underneath that extra point, once again, you add those columns up, just down here, you got the total. Then you go down here and you look at nature tokens, you look at how many nature tokens you have. In this short example, player 1 has 0 nature tokens, player 2 has 1 nature token. So player 2 would get 1 point right here. And then you add all this up, you add all the columns up for the final score. Right there and right there, and you get the final score. Then you have the final score and you see who wins at Cascadia. Who's the best at building that habitat with animals on it and everything. And so far, Resvon has been the best at it. I haven't been able to do as well. I'm close, but she's always 9 to 11 points ahead of me. Did I miss anything, Resvon?
I think you say everything, but the rules in a card is different, and they must make that rules. For example, 3 bear next each other, and around of that, no bear. Did you talk about this?
Yeah, briefly. So what Resvon's saying is, so where you get the difference in play and stuff is by the cards. So like I had shown, the bear has different ones. We'll just take this one for example. Actually, those are kind of similar. So you pick one of these. So this one, it shows 3 bears next to each other with no bears around it. This one, you have different settings. You can have 1 bear with no bear around it, 2 bears with no bear around it, or 3 bears with no bear around it, and it gives you points based on that. So yeah, you have to look at the card and you have to make these setups. Unless it shows something like this, you get no points for a single animal by itself, unless it shows it on the card. And if it looks slightly complicated, I would say this is probably a light to mid, what do they call it? Light, middle light, however you want to look at it. You want to make sure you look at the cards and understand the scoring. So sometimes you have to just leave an animal by itself and you don't get points, but you kind of want to pay attention to what the cards you pick for that game, how they work. And that's how kind of you get points. Is there anything else I missed, my love?
Did you talk
Yes.
I don't need to spend my tokens.
Yes, overpopulation. Good job. I did miss one thing. So overpopulation. This is why it's better to have Res1 here. So as you get tiles and you get animals and stuff, you can get an overpopulation. So you have a 3 token overpopulation, right? What you do with this, if you have 3 at the beginning of your turn, you can choose to leave it like that because you might like one of those combinations, and it leaves it open for the other person to have to waste a nature token. Or you can, well, you could choose to get rid of them, or like I said, sorry, I got a little mixed up, or you can pick one of those combinations. If you choose to get rid of them, you get rid of the overpopulated ones, so the ones that are exactly the same. Once again, you don't put them in the bag, you put them off to the side, and one at a time you pick new tokens to put down, right? Because it's considered overpopulated if there's 3 or more of the same animal. Now, that's on the beginning of your turn. If for any reason there is 4 of the same, you cannot choose not to do it. So if there's ever full, you can look at it as full overpopulation. So if you get a setup like this where it's 4 of the same animal token, you have to get rid of all of them. So you have to. You can't choose in this instance. You have to get rid of all of them. And then once again, you put them off to the side, and then you pick one at a time. You pick new animal tokens and put them out. So overpopulation, if there's 3 of the same animal, you can choose. If there's 4 of the same animal, you have to remove them and put new animal tokens out. All right, anything else I missed?
No, I think everything is good.
Okay. So that's basically how you play Cascadia from Fallout Games. I'm Steven.
I'm Rizwan.
And we're Cardboard Coalition. Help us grow this coalition by liking, commenting, subscribing, hitting the bell notification. And as I said in the last video, if you're in the area or your friends or family are watching and want to be involved, let us know. We'd love to grow this coalition. And that's it. See you later, everybody. Bye.